So thank you everyone for joining. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarini Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavedanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurahatshe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you, Srinivas Prabhu, for joining. Soumya Mataji, thank you for joining. Hopefully Raju Prabhu is doing okay in India. So some of you who don't know, Raju Prabhu had a small procedure in India. Angioplasty, right, Mother? A stunt. He found out there was some blockage in one of the arteries, which has increased quite a bit. So he underwent that angioplasty procedure. So everybody knows today is a very auspicious day. So what is special today? Akshay Tritiya. Akshay. Akshay means which does not diminish. And today is the day when the Chandan Yatra festival starts for 21 days.
For chariot program also, that start wooden
that wooden
that carving
today start,
yes, carving of Jagannath's chariot, building of Jagannath's chariot.
building.
And Prabhuji, one more
Lord Parshuram's appearance day. So today is Lord Parshuram's appearance day also. Today is Mother Ganga's descent also on earth. Not Ganga's appearance day, not the day when Ganga emanated from the lotus feet of the Lord, but the day when Ganga descended on earth. So that is also today, Akshay Tritiya. Then there are many other wonderful pastimes which took place on this particular day. Sudama giving the chipped rice to Krishna as an offering, that is also on this very day. And we know from the pastime of Pandavas, we hear about Akshay Patra, right? Akshay Patra. So Yudhishthira receiving that Akshay Patra from Sun God. Akshay Patra also is from this very name Akshay, which does not diminish. So that Patra, that pot, was capable of producing as much as food. Only condition was until Draupadi ate her meal. So after that, the pot will not produce another food for next 24 hours or till next day. So it's a very auspicious day. Whatever little bit we do on this particular day, any little bit spiritual activity we perform, any little donation we give to the Lord, it has manifold results. So in that way it's considered very auspicious. But generally sometimes people think Akshaya Tritiya means, okay, we should buy some gold, or this is the auspicious day to do any other material endeavors, like they want to close their house deals or starting a new business or something. So it should not be considered as a materially auspicious, but from spiritual point of view, this is a very auspicious day. Any little bit we do on this particular day gives manifold results. So that's why it's very important to give some charity on this particular day. Okay, there are many different options, many different opportunities for us to make any charity on this particular day. We can give some donation in the temple, we can give some donation for the welfare of cows. So in that way, there are many different options. Best is, of course, we can give in temple for serving the Lord and serving the Vaishnavas. Okay, so that was little bit about Akshaya Tritiya. Now, our today's topic, I was thinking of continuing our discussion from last time. Last time we had a very short discussion last Saturday. We talked about 5 things which we should try to cultivate in our lives. So can anybody name those 5 things?
Offer to God, bow down,
Bowing down, but that was the main point, was staying grounded. Right, staying grounded. Bowing down in front of the Lord, bowing down in front of the other seniors. So staying grounded, singing for the Lord, singing for the pleasure of the Lord,
sharing our Vedic knowledge to the other devotees,
sharing the wisdom with others, offering prayers, and reflections. Whatever we are hearing, or in general, whatever we are doing, reflect upon that, right? What I'm doing on my day-to-day life on daily basis, reflecting on what we have heard, making some notes in the sense of your gratitude journal, or in journal some realizations, some reflections. So these were the 5 things we talked about in last time as the things we should try to cultivate. So today we are going to talk about some golden rules, sutras for successful life. So these sutras, these golden rules are for success in our day-to-day lives, in our material lives also, and these are sutras for our spiritual lives also, for progress in our spiritual life. So it applies to all sort of aspects. So in our life, we have talked about generally, we have 3 aspects of life. Satish Prabhu, what are those 3 aspects of life? We need to balance these 3 aspects of our life.
Work and family.
Work, kind of our professional life.
Professional life and personal life.
Personal life.
Spiritual life.
Spiritual life. So we talk about these 3 aspects, right? So our professional life, which is our work, our career, our occupation. Then our personal life, which is our family, our relationships. Then third one is spiritual life. So I will break it into further 4 parts actually today. We are going to split our personal and professional life into one more. We will add one more factor into that. So one is our personal development. Okay. Second one is our relationships, which is our personal life, family life, whatever we can call. So personal development, relationships, then our contributions. So our contribution could be from personal, from professional, from spiritual. It applies on all 3, right? So contributions. And then 4th is our spiritual progress. So these 4 aspects of our life, and what are the sutras which can help us to progress in all aspects of our life? Generally, we make so many mistakes. Human is prone to make mistakes, right? And we say, based on our scriptures also, we say we have 4 defects. Right? The human beings are considered to have 4 defects. What are the 4 defects? Somebody may say, no, I'm 100% perfect, I don't have any defect. But everybody has 4 defects, 4 faults. What are these 4 defects? I'm not talking about our Anarthas journal 4 defects in human beings. Number 1,
Jealous.
our senses are limited. Right? Our senses have limitations. No matter what we try to do, there is some limitation to the senses. We cannot see beyond certain distance. We cannot hear beyond certain frequency range. So our senses are limited. And then second is, we have a tendency to be illusioned. Because our senses are limited, of course, then we will get illusioned also. Sometimes we perceive something which is not the reality. We trust on something which is not real, either by seeing also or by hearing also, because our senses are limited. So senses are limited, we have tendency to be illusioned. And then third one is, we are prone to make mistakes. To err is human. Right? Because our senses are limited, we will make mistake. And then the fourth one is the tendency to cheat. The tendency to cheat others, tendency to speak lies. So the first 3, basically we have not much control on that. Our senses are limited, we cannot do anything about that. Right? We have tendency to commit mistakes. So there is only something what we can do about it. But the fourth thing, which is tendency to cheat others, tendency to lie, that is something which we can control. Right? That varies person to person. Anyways, all other mistake also varies person to person. Somebody commits more mistakes, somebody commits less mistake. So these are the 4 defects we have. Now, these 4 defects we have, or the tendency to make mistake, what we can learn from our mistake and how we can progress by learning from those mistakes. And if we really want to learn from our mistake, what need to be done? How we can learn from our mistakes?
Don't repeat.
Don't repeat. Yes, that's true. Don't repeat your mistake.
Realize that you accept the mistake.
Accepting our mistakes, yes. First thing is accepting your mistake, and then don't repeat those mistakes. Now, first of all, to understand, yes, I made a mistake, we need somebody in our life who can point out our mistakes, isn't it? The first thing is to somebody...
First is recognize the mistake.
Yes, recognize the mistake. So either we ourselves recognize the mistake or somebody point out to our mistake. So how we point out or how we recognize our mistakes is sometime we need somebody's assistance who can point out to our mistakes, who can help us recognize those mistakes. So the first golden sutra, the golden rule to apply in our lives is, don't stay helpless. Helpless means hopeless. So don't stay helpless. What does that mean? Sometimes what happens, we do not allow people to enter into our lives. We block, we shield ourselves so much, we do not give access to anybody into our lives. Right? So the thing is, there has to be somebody in our life, some mentor, some coach, some guide, who can help us to identify our mistake, to recognize those mistakes, and in that way help us to correct those mistakes. Nobody actually in this world, if you see in this world, nobody is self-made. Okay, there has to be some guidance, some vision, some encouragement, some direction at different aspects, different phases of our life. So we need to have somebody in our life, some guide, some mentor who can help us to grow in our lives. Even in our careers, in our professional lives also, there is a concept of assigning a mentor and mentee, mentor-mentee program, right? You choose some mentor who can help you grow in your career. And it applies in every aspect actually. Sometimes people need some mentor for their personal life also, to deal with some family relationship problems also, with whom they can discuss their problems. And in spiritual life, it's again a must, because all the scriptures are talking about we need to approach somebody who can help us, who can guide us to progress in our spiritual life. So we need to give access to somebody. But if we are so conservative, if we are blocking ourselves, we are not allowing anybody to enter, there's nobody who can come to us and give us any feedback, right? Because we have shielded ourselves so much. So don't stay helpless. Now, why will somebody not give access to anybody? For many reasons. There could be many reasons. One thing is the person is maybe too shy. The person thinks, oh, I'm a very insignificant person and I don't want to waste that person's time. So in that way, they do not approach anybody, right? Thinking, oh, I'm too insignificant person, why to waste somebody's time? Just out of shyness, we don't reach out to somebody for help. Another reason could be too busy. Okay, but what is the use of being busy if we are not able to progress, right? So one thing is to be shy, another one is a feeling of being too vulnerable, feeling insecurity. You know, if I approach somebody, I discuss my things with them, they may give me some instruction, they may give me some suggestions which may completely put my life upside down. They may tell me something to do which I may not be able to do. Or feeling the insecurity in the sense where what will they think about me, right? If I openly share my different issues with them. That is another reason why we are not able to approach somebody. The third reason is out of pride. Out of pride is thinking, no, I don't need anybody. I can handle anything by myself. I will figure out the solution for myself. So either out of shyness, out of feeling the insecurity, or because of pride, we do not allow anybody to enter into our lives. We block ourselves so much. And in that way, we are not able to progress. But what does the scripture say actually? One should approach a bona fide guru. In that way, the guru could be some mentor, some guide, some counselor which can help us. Even in Ramayana, there is this description come when Bharadwaj Rishi is staying in Prayag in his ashram, and during the particular month, I think this is one of the month of Chaturmasya, all the sages have assembled there. Yajnavalak Rishi and many other great sages, they have assembled there, and after that, when they're about to leave, everybody has left, and Yajnavalak Rishi is also about to leave, and Bharadwaj Rishi holds on to the feet of Yajnavalak Rishi. Please don't leave. I have a doubt in my mind. Please remove that doubt. So he was saying to Yajnavalak Rishi that I'm feeling little shyness also in asking that question, or I'm feeling little resistance in asking this question, but if I don't ask you that question, then it's my big loss. So he was saying, if I ask you this question, he was having this fear that what you will think about me, that you are such a big sage, big rishi, but you don't even know this much only. Sometimes we also have that fear, right? If I go and ask this question or talk about this problem, what will they think about me? Oh, you have been in the process for 5 years and you are so mature in life and you still have this type of tiny problems. So because of that fear, we do not approach somebody. But Bharadwaj Rishi is telling, but it's a big loss for me if I don't ask this question. Because when somebody goes to the doctor, one should not hide anything from the doctor. If you have any problem, you should openly discuss that problem, right? If you have too much problem in your stomach, so much stomach ache going on, so much headache going on, and you go to the doctor and tell, yeah, I have little bit problem, nothing much there, but some little bit problem is there. So doctor may not be able to diagnose properly. And same way, when somebody approaches their mentor, guru, counselor, guide, one should openly discuss the problem. One should not hide, one should not keep the doubts in their mind, because the doubts can grow into demons. and they can completely rip apart our life. So the first principle, don't stay helpless, because helpless means hopeless. The second thing, when we approach also the second sutra, so the second sutra becomes hear without defending. So now when you approach somebody, or in general also, let's say we are sitting in program, we are listening to katha, we are listening to a class. So in general, we should be open-minded while hearing. Hear without defending. What happens is sometimes we are sitting there, we are hearing, but while hearing, there is so much mental blockage. We are doing so much of filtering into that. Oh no, why Prabhuji is telling this? Why he is saying like this? Sometimes some new person may come and we are speaking about Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, and then the person is into, no, how come he is saying Krishna is Supreme? Durga is Supreme, Shiva is Supreme, this is that, that is that. So there is so much of mental blockage going on. We are filtering out the thing. What is that? That hearing is with defending. In the sense, we are just defending. We don't want to accept certain things and we filter out the things. So the principle is hear without defending. So generally, sometimes we hear from one ear and it goes out from the other ear. Right? So that's called selective hearing, not attentive hearing. And this also becomes to when we are getting some feedback from somebody. Now in our office also there is a concept of receiving feedback, constructive feedback. Right? Everybody has heard that terminology, constructive feedback. And if you are given some feedback and at that time you are so defensive, somebody is pointing out at your shortcoming and you become so defensive about that. No, how come this person is telling this thing about me? I'm not like that. I don't have that problem. So we become so defensive on any feedback which is given to us, and then what does that feedback or what does that defensive hearing do? It chokes up our own progress. So earlier I told 4 aspects of life, and whatever these golden sutras are, we have to relate which sutra apply to which particular aspect. So this one applies to our own personal development also. It applies to our relationships also. And it applies to our spiritual progress also. So hearing without defending. See, if somebody is giving us feedback, how we should receive that feedback? In what spirit we should receive that feedback? That this person is my welfare, my well-wisher. He is telling me for my own improvement. Just like you go to doctor. Right? You went to the doctor for your regular yearly examination. And the doctor, after all your checkup, the doctor tells you have this high blood pressure issue, or your hemoglobin level is low and you need to make these dietary changes, or you need to make these lifestyle changes. At that time, do you become defensive about the doctor? No, how dare you tell me I have a lack of hemoglobin, or I am having high blood pressure. So you take that feedback, you take that whatever doctor is telling you as a suggestion, you need to make these changes in your diet or lifestyle, and we want to apply that. You don't become defensive of that. So same way somebody is telling you about some particular thing that, oh, you should listen more attentively. You need to respect the time. So if somebody is giving us that kind of feedback, should we become defensive about that? It means that is for our own welfare. It is for our own progress. Another example is, let's say everybody has phones, and occasionally we get some pop-up message in terms of your software need to be updated, or this particular app need to be updated. So you can snooze that or you can do that immediately. That's a choice, but ultimately you will end up doing, right? You will update that software, the IO system or your particular app. Now, when that software is updated, what happens? whatever the previous bugs were there in the previous version of software, those are removed. You get some new feature, you get some new icons or something. So it ended up improving. In rare cases it happens that it causes some other problems also, but in generally this is for improvement. So same way, when somebody is coming and telling us some feedback, we should accept that feedback in a positive way, as a constructive feedback, that yes, maybe this person is telling for my betterment and I need to see what changes I can make. So hearing without defending. Because if we are not able to receive the feedback, what will happen? If you always defend, what will happen? Then nobody will dare come close to you. Right? Or this person, he becomes very defensive, he doesn't want to hear, so better let me stay off from that person. So then in that case, who are the person in our life who can come and tell us for our improvements? Right? So we need to see who are the people in our life who can give us feedback, who can correct us, who can help us in improving. So once a CEO of the company, there's a marketing company, sales and marketing company. So the CEO, he called all the employees. He asked the employees, all the salesmen and saleswomen, right? So he asked everybody, does anybody know who is the best marketing person in our company? Everybody raised the hand. But everybody know who is the best marketing guy in our company. Okay, then put your hands down. Then he asked the second question. How many of you have approached that person for suggestion? Now nobody lifted the hand. So everybody knew who is the best person, who is the best marketing guy, best salesperson, but nobody has approached him for suggestion. So then he concluded, so that is why none of you are able to give your full potential, because you have never approached him for suggestion, him or her for suggestion, how you all can improve. So both the first and second sutra, they are connected, what I told. Don't stay helpless, because helpless means hopeless. And second one is listen without defending, because that is for our own improvement, our own personal improvement, our own spiritual improvement, and improving our relationships also. Because of this problem with defensive listening, we end up spoiling our relationships also. Right? Either it could be within the family, it could be within friends. So we spoil the relationship because of defensive hearing. Because what happens is, we point faults at others. We try to show the mistake of other person. When somebody else has committed the mistake, we immediately become the judge and give the judgment. Oh, this person has done this, he should not have done this. So for somebody else's mistake, we become the judge. But for our mistakes, we become the lawyers. Right? We try to defend immediately. We start with the defensive statements. No, this is not like that. This is not I did. So in that way, to hide one problem, person tell lie. Then to protect that one lie, he tell another lie, and this cycle keep going on and on and on. So listen without defending. In scriptures, there are so many examples of these quarrels happening because of getting irritated by somebody's no. Somebody said no to us, we immediately become defensive. So there is a classical example or story of Devyani. Devyani is daughter of Shukracharya. Okay, and in Shukracharya's ashram, there were many Brahmana boys who were coming and studying. And one Brahmana boy was named Kacha. So Devyani, she started liking this boy. And she one day approached and proposed, I really like you, I will like to marry you. And that boy, Kach, he immediately said, no, how is that possible? You are the daughter of my guru. I never saw you in that way. And he said, no, I cannot marry you. And as soon as Devyani heard no, how she took it? The defensive hearing, right? She immediately got so agitated. How can you say no to me? You said no to me that you don't want to marry me. I curse you. Whatever you have learned from my father, you will forget everything. So she immediately cursed. And how did that boy took it now? He also become irritated because of her speaking like that. And she said, because you are speaking to me like this, I curse you that you will never be able to marry a Brahmana boy. So it went back and forth, back and forth. So this is defensive hearing. And it will connect with our third statement also. So one should be very careful how we are hearing, how we are receiving the information from somebody, how we are processing that information. Oh, this person is speaking for my own betterment, so let me process it in that way. So the third sutra, the third statement, speaking without offending. What was the first one? Don't stay helpless, because helpless means hopeless. Second one, hearing without defending. Third one is speaking without offending. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a very beautiful verse in 17th chapter where Krishna is speaking about the austerity of the tongue, austerity of the mind, austerity of the body. Right? In that there is one verse which speaks about austerity of speech, austerity of the tongue. So in that way, Krishna says how we should be speaking. So this verse is Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tap uchyate. I believe this is 17.15. Okay, chapter 17, text number 15. So Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat. How should be our speech? Which is not agitating to others, which is true, which is pleasing to hearing, and which is for beneficial for somebody. So 4 characteristics are there. And then another one is the speech should be used for reciting the scriptures. Swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. So that is the austerity of speech. So we should speak in a way which is not agitating to others. Now in the previous example, because somebody is not able to hear or listen to know, and they started blaspheming other person, right? So that is offending other person. So in that way, what happens is if somebody said something to us and immediately we jump, how can you say this to me? We don't have any tolerance power and we immediately retaliate back. In that way, we end up spoiling our own relationship with the other person. Yes, there may be problems. Somebody may speak harshly to us, but at that time, how we behave back. Many times people come and answer, oh, because that person said this thing to me first, that's why I did that to him. Right? But if the person could have processed it, waited for some time, and then react back or respond back rather than reacting immediately, that can save damaging that relationship. So speaking without offending. And in our spiritual life, that's also very important. One of the offenses is to blaspheme the devotees, to criticize the devotees. So we should be very careful how we are speaking, not pointing faults at others. First of all, even if we are seeing somebody's mistake, are we in a position to correct that person? Yes, the mentor, the guide, they have the responsibility to correct. So they have to tell that person, no, you should not have done this. The other person should not think, oh, he is criticizing me, he is offending me. No, that's his duty, to offend, to correct him. So, but in general, we should not be criticizing, blaspheming and offending other devotees. Even if they are making mistake, it's better to inform somebody who can guide that person. So the examples for this speaking without offending, we should not engage in useless conversation also. Sometimes we may engage in some useless conversation which has no end to it, but it does not add any value. So we should be seeing, no gossiping, no criticizing others, because the gossip we have just heard from somewhere, some rumor, we have not checked the validity of that, if that's true or not, and we pass on that information. What happens? It's spreading lies, it's spreading rumor about somebody, kind of damaging their reputation also. So we should be very careful. First of all, okay, is that thing true? Is that thing pleasing to hear? Does that add any value? Is it in that information is useful to somebody? If that's not there, then why I'm telling even? There is a story about Socrates. Everybody knows Socrates, a philosopher. Once one person came to him and told him, I want to tell you something about that person. And Socrates paused for a moment and told, just wait. First, tell me this thing. Have you, whatever you are going to tell me about that person, have you verified the truth about that? Have you yourself checked the reality about that? This person said, no, I did not. I just heard it from somewhere and I wanted to tell you. Okay, so you have failed the first test. You haven't checked the validity of that thing. The second test is that whatever you are going to tell me about that person, is it pleasing? No, this is actually something really bad about that person. Okay, so, and the third thing is, whatever you are going to tell me, is it some way useful for me? No. Okay, then why do you want to tell me? Right, so he called it the test of 3 sieves, like the 3 filters. The first one is it true? Is it pleasing to hear? Is it useful in any way? So if it's not there, then why even you want to tell that thing? So that is austerity of speech. Krishna exactly telling same thing. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat. So satyam, is that true? Priyam, is that pleasing to hear? Hitam, is that beneficial? So Socrates took it from Bhagavad Gita actually, right? The test of 3 sieves. So one should be very careful how we are speaking, because it can end up spoiling our own relationship. And also it's like leaking out our own spiritual bank balance. Because whatever activities we are doing, let's say we get up early in the morning, we do our chanting, we do our sadhana, we do little service, we do our shravanam. So whatever spiritual activities are doing, actually they are enough for us to go back to Krishna. Right? These we don't have to do anything fancy. It's not that somebody has to be a gung-ho that, oh, if I do that much only, then I can go back. If we maintain these basic activities also, following the 4 principles, doing our sadhana, our chanting, all that, we can very easily go back to Krishna, develop love for Krishna and go back. But what is the problem? Where is the problem? There is a leakage in our own bucket. We are collecting this spiritual bank balance, but then because we are offending maybe the devotees, so there is a leakage. Whatever we are collecting, it's leaking out. It's getting useless. And that's why we don't see any progress also happening in our spiritual life. We are just stuck wherever we are. Spiritual life become stagnant. Because either mentally, either physically, or speaking to somebody, we are committing Vaishnava Aparadha. So Vaishnava Aparadha doesn't mean I have to offend that person directly. It could be I am speaking about that person to somebody else, right? Which is either because of my judgment or because of my own spiritual stagnation. I am seeing those faults in that person, but it's not really there. So speaking without offending. And in Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava that somebody can tolerate even the physical harm. Tolerating the physical harm is easier than tolerating the harsh words of somebody. Because it's like if somebody shoots an arrow on you, the arrow is pierced into your body. That will trouble you once, that will harm you once, and the wound can fill out. But the arrows of the sharp words which pierce into our heart, the person feel that pain again and again because of the arrows of sharp words. The physical arrow can harm once only and the wound will fill out. But by remembering those sharp words again and again, the person will be feeling the pain. Oh, this person said very nasty words to me. This person told me like this. He insulted me like this. By remembering those words again and again, that person will be feeling that pain again and again. So that's why Lord Krishna is telling that the pains caused by the harsh words is much more than the pain caused by physical harm. So one should be very careful how we speak to others. That's why there's a tongue. Tongue is without bone, but it has the power to break others' bones. Right? So tongue is very powerful. So we should be very careful how we utilize our tongue. So the third principle is speaking without offending. Now fourth principle, the fourth golden rule, fourth sutra, living without pretending. Living without pretending means living a honest life, living with honesty. And that relates to our personal development, it relates to our spiritual development. So living without pretending. So we talked about cheating propensity, right? So cheating propensity, telling lie to others. Everybody in this world is putting some sort of mask on their face. We show to the world what we really are not. Right? In some way, people try to show to the world which they are not. We are trying to maybe make some other image, some other reputation in front of somebody, which we really are not. And it may apply in spiritual life also. Sometimes we try to show to the other world, see, I'm such an advanced devotee, I'm such a great devotee. We try to convince others that, see, I am such a great person. So rather than putting an artificial face, we need to be who we really are. Living without pretending. Once one monk, he was driving the car. Okay, monk means somebody in a sannyas order of life, or as a brahmana who has brahmachari who has decided to dedicate his life. So he was driving the car, and while driving the car, he was checking some message on the phone, passing by an area where the rule is no looking at phone while driving, right? No use of cell phone while driving. So he was checking some message and while driving, and from the other side the cop car is coming, and he saw the cops coming and he immediately put the phone down. But the cops have noticed by that time, and as he drew further, cops came behind and stopped him. So this monk came out of the car and the cop is asking him. Cop first saw his get up as a monk and he was looking, oh, this person looks like some sort of monk, and he asked him, sir, I saw you using your phone while driving. And this person tried to deny. No, you have got a mistake. Actually, I was not looking at phone. So cop was asking again and again, sir, I saw you were looking at your phone. And he also very strongly tried to deny. No, I was not. And the cop became agitated, irritated. He said, Mr. Monk, speak the truth and truth should set you free. and the monk, he was thinking, oh, this is our philosophy. This is what we preach to others. And if I myself am not behaving like that, then what is the use of speaking that philosophy? So, being honest, not showing to the world which we are not, basically not pretending. Live without pretending. This principle is very important actually. How many of you, or including me, how many of us can agree that at some point of time we try to show to the world which we are not? Right? We try that, oh, somebody should not find out my secret life. All of us have a public life. We have our private life. and there is another secret life. So public life means everybody know about us. Private life means only maybe our close family members know about us. And there is a secret life which even nobody knows. Maybe only Krishna knows. We cannot hide from Krishna. Right? So public life is which is open to everybody. What people know about us. Private life is what only our close relatives, close family member know about us. And secret life is which only Krishna knows about us. But ultimately we need to align all three lives together. Right? So it's not that we are trying to be something in our personal life, but we are posing something else to the public life. Especially it applies to the leaders. For the leader, there is no secret life. There is no personal life. Their life is like open book. Right? All the great sages, the great saints, their life is like a open life, open book for everybody. So in that way, we also should cultivate this habit that at least not living a life of pretense, not pretending to be something. And then we try to please others so much, and in that way we try to pretend many things. We spend our life pretending or trying to please others. Most of our life goes by like that, trying to please others, and then towards the end of our life, maybe we stop worrying about others. And ultimately we realize we spend so much life worrying about others, what others are thinking about me, where actually nobody was thinking about me. Nobody was actually caring for that, what I was doing or what I was not doing. But we spend so much of our life in thinking what others will think about me. दुनिया में सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग. Right? That's why people spend their lives in that way. So rather than pretending to be something else, be yourself. Because if we are pretending to be something else, nobody is going to come to us and tell us our shortcomings, our feedbacks. And it is going to block our own progress. So the first, for the next principle, the fifth sutra, being judgmental chokes our improvement. If we are trying to be judgmental about others, we are choking our own progress. We are choking the progress of other person. How? So let's talk about this point. See, when we are judging other person, what we are doing is, generally what happens, we are looking at their shortcomings only. When we judge others, we are not judging for their good qualities. We are judging them for their shortcomings only. So in that way, in our mind, we are putting that person down. And what happens when you are putting somebody down, you automatically uplift yourself. That, oh, this person has these problems, I do not have these problems. So you are artificially uplifting yourself. In that way, you are blocking your own improvement. Because when you feel yourself superior from somebody, then you don't have much scope of improvement. You are already feeling superior from somebody. So judging other person, it blocks our own improvement. And judging others, in that way, if we are just judging others but not going and helping, when we judge somebody, we should find out first of all, while judging some other person, am I trying to help that person to improve? So if you are not going to go to that person and talk to that person, just standing far and judging that person, not offering any help, then what improvement are you offering? How are you helping that person? Many times it happens is people judge somebody and then they talk about that person to somebody. Rather than talking to that person, they talk about that person. Does that happen or no? So rather than judging the other person and talking about that person, better is we communicate with that person. Because by judging other person and then spreading rumors about that person, we are spoiling our relationship to that person. And this judgment thing happened because of lack of communication. Once, I will tell you one story. Everybody know about the Vipassana camp? some particular practice of Vipassana. Vipassana is a silent meditation. Okay, so there is a Vipassana camp, like the camp for 10 days maybe, which is complete Mona Vrata. So whoever is attending that camp, so they reach to the destination where the campsite is, and then for next 10 days, they are completely observing Mona Vrata. Silence, not talking to anybody. And they do their whatever sadhana is there, sitting in a pose or just meditating or cleansing the mind from any thoughts or something, whatever their practice is. So after that 10 days, then they finally have the final day of retreat before they again go back to their homes. So this person who had attended Vipassana camp, so he was asked, what was your best realization after attending this Vipassana camp? And he said, my best realization was, I have such a big disease of judging people. I have such a big disease of judging other people and making up my mind about that person. Why do you say so? He said, the first day we reached there to the campsite for this camp, and after that we were doing Mona Vrata. So we are not communicating with anybody. I was observing other people, what somebody is doing, how he or she looks like, and by just looking at them, I was trying to judge that person. Oh, this person is like this. Oh, this person is like that. So I made so many mental pictures of other people in my mind by just looking at them, by observing their activity. But later on, at the final day, when we finished that camp and we broke our Mona Vrata, at that time when I talked to all these people, to my surprise, I realized actually everything what I had judged about them was wrong. Right? Whatever mental picture I have framed about them, everything was wrong. That person was completely different what I had thought of. So I found out that I have such a big judgmental disease, this judging mentality. And that happens to us also. We look at some other people, we look at some other devotees, we look at some of our other colleagues, and we make a mental picture about them. Oh, this person is like that. He doesn't like to talk to others. He doesn't like to talk to somebody. I will tell you my personal experience. So because of my whatever practices we have, generally I don't mingle much at office with other people. I eat my lunch at my desk, and I used to go for a walk myself rather than with 3-4 other people who will keep talking about some other nonsense stuff. So I used to go by myself for some walk. And people will observe, right? People will see, look at you. And somehow my manager and somebody else, some other parallels to my manager, so they framed up their mind, oh, this person does not mingle up with anybody. He doesn't like to talk to somebody. Now, that's completely a wrong picture about me. I am a very talkative person, as you all can relate to that. Once I start talking, I don't stop. So, but somebody, by just looking at me, without having a proper communication with me, they framed up their mind. That's what happens to us also in journal. We judge other people and we frame a wrong picture about them. But in that way, are we helping that person in any way? First of all, by putting other person down, we are choking our own progress. And we are not offering any assistance, any help to the other person also, if we really observe any of their shortcomings also. So best thing is, rather than judging other people, communicate with them. Communicate to them and discuss with them. And you will see how the relationships can grow. Okay, so judgment chokes our own improvement. So being judgmental is the reflection of our own spiritual stagnation. What we see in others is the reflection of our own problems actually. Right? What we see in others is our own image. It's like that person becomes like a mirror to reflect our own problems. So that's the sign of our own spiritual stagnation. So the next sutra, consistency without creativity can make us obsolete or useless, worthless. So generally we say consistency is very important. Right? We need to be consistent. And sometimes people will come to you and they say, I'm very consistent, I have been doing these things in this way only. That is the way I have been doing my things. Some people may be very consistent in their dressing style, in their eating habits and all that. They are very consistent in particular things. But we need to see, is that consistency? Yes, consistency is important, but is that consistency really helping me in growth? If I have been doing a thing in a particular way for 10 years, but I am not going anywhere, I am not progressing anywhere, is that consistency any useful? So consistency without creativity can also choke our progress. Sometimes we need to understand, maybe we need to try out different creative ways. For example, all these, so many companies, so many brands, why they went out of market? Because they were doing their things very consistently. The Kodak camera is building the camera consistently in same way. But they did not realize what is the next market trend. They did not adapt to the new technology, new method, and they became obsolete. In our life also that applies. If we do not improve ourselves, if we thinking, no, I've been doing this way only, and this is how I'm going to continue, and it's not helping us to grow. We may be speaking about Krishna to 100 people. Every week we have program. Every week we are doing Krishna Katha. Very consistently we are doing that. But if it's not helping other people to understand, if that's not helping other people to grow, it means that consistency is not useful. We need to make certain changes. How we communicate, how we convey the point, there has to be certain change. So consistency without creativity. Now it applies other way also. If somebody is very creative but not consistent, that's also not useful. Somebody is not sticking with one thing, just always jumping from new ideas, new things, and not staying with one particular path, that's also useless. So there has to be consistency also, and there has to be creativity also. So consistency without creativity. Now next one, we'll go a little fast because it's already 1:45. So the 7th sutra for today which I want to give is disconnect to connect. Disconnect to connect for our spiritual progress. Sometimes we need to step away from our normal life, our normal routine. We need to disconnect from that particular thing to connect better. Now, why do I say that? See, we are so much into our regular lives, into our life schedules. Either it's related to our profession, it's related to our personal life, or even spiritual life. We may be thinking, yes, I am doing my practice, I am doing my chanting, I am doing this thing. But sometime, if we really want to grow, we need to disconnect from our regular world. To go to a certain place where we can connect better. The reason I'm telling is, we need to take time out from our regular lives to sometime visit the holy places where you can have a deeper connection. We need to sometime take the time out, we need to disconnect from our regular lives, attend some retreats. So disconnect to connect. We need to disconnect from our regular lives and connect for a deeper spiritual progress. Because what happens is, in our regular life, yes, we may be practicing some things, but when we go to a place, a retreat or a holy place where we are meeting other people, maybe we are meeting people from different walks of life, we are meeting people in a different life situations, and we observe them, we listen from them, we have a conversation with them, we understand how that person is doing, how that person is able to handle all different challenges and how they are progressing. So we derive so much of encouragement, so much of motivation from other people. So that's why it's really important. And I can say this was one thing actually which really helped me. From very beginning, we were attending retreats. We will go to New Vrindavan, we will go to Gita Nagari, we will go to Chicago for Festival of Holy Name. once a year at least, we need to disconnect from our regular life and connect, go to such places for a better, deeper connection. So disconnect to connect. Like now, in a month, we have another retreat coming up in Gita Nagari farm. Okay, so myself, my family is going, Satish Prabhu's family is going, and there is another Kirtan Mela happening, or the Sadhu Sangha retreat happening in, I think, Houston or Dallas. I think Dallas, yeah. So many devotees from our Metro Detroit area, they are going to that Sadhu Sangha retreat. Both are happening at same time, Memorial Day weekend. So, but the thing is, disconnecting from our regular lives for a deeper connection. Okay, the 8th sutra, the last sutra which I want to tell today. Love without expecting. Love without expecting. The mistake which we commit in our lives is we build up so many expectations from others. We build expectations from our family members. We develop expectations from other people in our social circle, either our friends or even with devotees. We develop so much of expectations. But love without expecting means having that relationship without the business mentality kind of. That okay, if I do this thing for you, what I'm going to get in return. So if we have that type of mentality, that is a business exchange. Like with the demigods also, right? Or the Krishna also, people may do that business exchange. Oh, I have been doing fasting for you. I am doing Solan Somvar Brat. I have been doing Brat for these many Tuesdays or Fridays or Saturdays. What I am getting out of that? If I am not getting any benefit, now I will stop doing that. I will stop coming to you. That is a business deal. So love without expecting. When we marry, what is the purpose of marriage relationship? If you ask most of the people why you want to get married, what will they say? Mostly they will say we want to become happy. Right? We want to marry that person, so I will become happy. So actually that is a wrong expectation. Because if somebody is getting into a particular relationship, so the other person will give me happiness, that is always going to end up in frustration. Because that person himself, if is not happy, he is also expecting for something, then where is the happiness? The real thing is I want to have that relationship with the other person because I am happy and I want to share my happiness with the other person. That should be the purpose of developing a relationship with the other person. Developing relation with other devotees is we have something with us which we want to share with others. Oh, we have this Krishna consciousness and we want to share this Krishna consciousness with others. There is no mentality of we want to get something out of them. Or if that person will come, he will bring something or he will do something for me as a favor to me. No, then that relationship is going to be in a miserable situation. Only thing is no expectation from others, love without expecting. Like a mother is caring for the child. In the earlier phases of life, actually, mother has no expectation from child, right? Mother is just caring for the child, taking care of the child, changing the diapers also, and carrying the baby in her lap also. And at the night, the child wakes up also, mother will get up from the sleep immediately and pat the child. So mother is serving the child without any expectation that time. Yes, and then later on, slowly the expectation may come. Now child is growing, as he grow young and I become old, maybe the child will take care of me. Right? At some point of time, parents also develop that sort of expectation. But in reality, in a relationship, any relationship is meaningful only when there is no expectation. Loving without expectation. There is something called liking somebody or loving somebody. What is the difference in liking somebody or loving somebody?
If you are liking somebody, you don't expect anything.
Hmm.
If you love somebody expects something, I think.
It's other way. It's other way. When you like somebody, then you are expecting something from that person. That, oh, this person should help me in my pleasure. For example, you like the flower. When you like the flower, what happens? You immediately want to pluck that flower. Oh, this flower should give me happiness. This flower should give me pleasure. But if you love the flower, then you want to serve that flower, right? You want to care for that flower. So, liking and loving differences. In liking, there is an expectation for your own pleasure. Loving is, there is a nature of caring for other. So same way when we come to Krishna, what is our relationship with Krishna? Are we liking Krishna or are we loving Krishna? We should be loving Krishna. Right? If we are liking Krishna means, yes, Krishna, I like you. Please give me this. Sukh sampatti ghar aave kashta mite tanka. Right? Then that is liking stage. Yes, no doubt, I like God. Right? So please fulfill all my needs. And if somebody's needs are not fulfilled, the desires are not fulfilled, what they say? Okay, now tata bye bye, I will go to somebody else. Because I came to you, you did not fulfill my needs, I will go to somebody else now. But if there is love, then there is no expectation. In love doesn't mean that you don't want to ask something from the other person. You can ask. But then there is no business deal that if he did not fulfill that, then you give up your relationship. You can go to Krishna and ask Krishna also. But we should tell Krishna, if you so desire, please grant me this, right? Give me this. We need to align our desire with Krishna's desire. So then it becomes love without expectation. Otherwise, what is happening? As long as our need is getting fulfilled, the relationship is there. And once the need is not getting fulfilled, the relationship is broken. Why there are so many divorce cases and all that? Because those relationships are based on need. You are fulfilling my need, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So as long as we both are scratching each other's back, we are together. And once that need is not fulfilled now, then I don't want to be with you. And same we apply with Krishna also. Sometimes people consider Krishna as a bellboy. Like as somebody go to the restaurant and they ring a bell there, the waiter comes up and you tell the waiter, oh, bring me one plate samosa, one plate pizza, one plate this or that. And if it's getting delayed also, again you ring the bell. What happened? Why it's taking so long? So we do with Krishna also same thing. We give our wish list to Krishna and then we are becoming impatient. Why Krishna is not giving me? I've been chanting for 6 months now. Why Krishna is not fulfilling my needs? Why there is so much problem in my life still? So love without expectation. And then only it can help us to develop that meaningful relationship. Now I will end with this one simple story here about the 3 things I talked about. One was, what was the first sutra? Don't stay helpless. Don't stay helpless because helpless means hopeless. Listen without defending. Speak without offending. So related to this speak without offending also, we talked about no gossiping, no speaking about useless thing about somebody which is not true, which is not meaningful, and how we try to judge other peoples and make up our mind based on that. How we should avoid those things and why we should avoid, I will tell you one story. The pending file of Yamaraj. Once there was a king, and this king invited all the Brahmanas in his city for serving them lunch, feeding them prasadam. So all these Brahmanas, thousands of Brahmanas are coming, and the cooks of the king, they are cooking, preparing the meal for them. Now it's in such a big quantity, they cannot accommodate in their regular kitchen. So they made a makeshift kitchen. So they are cooking for all these thousands of people in an outside open area with big pots there. So as this cooking is going on, after the prasadam was fed to the Brahmanas, all the Brahmanas died. What had happened was, as the cooks were cooking, there was an eagle which flew above from that area, and that eagle had hunted a snake. The snake was in a almost dead condition, and as the eagle was carrying that snake, some of the poison drops from the snake's mouth fell down, and it fell down in one of the pot where some dal or sabji was getting cooked, and the poison mixed up with that food, and that was served to the brahmanas. So all the brahmanas died. Now this case went to Yamaraj, whom to punish for this crime of killing all these brahmanas. Brahma Hatya. That is a very heinous crime. Brahma Hatya, so many brahmanas. So whom to punish? So all the ministers in Yamaraj's assembly, they started giving advice. The king should be punished. But why? Yamaraj said, why poor king to be punished? He wanted to serve all the brahmanas. He arranged for this nice feast for them. And he was not aware of this. It was not his mistake. Then the other minister said, maybe the cooks should be punished because they cooked the meal. They has to be punished. But what is the mistake of cooks? The poor fellow, they were working hard. They were cooking all this feast. It was not to their knowledge that something fell into that and mixed up in that. So why to punish the cooks? And then somebody pointed out the eagle to be punished because he was carrying the snake. Then Yamaraj said, what is the fault of poor eagle? Eagle by nature, he just hunted the snake, which is his food, and he was carrying that. And anyways, the principle of karma applies only to human beings, right? The eagle was acting based on his instinct. Then somebody said, the snake has to be punished because the poison dripped from his mouth. And the Yamaraj said, snake was already dead. Right? What is the mistake of snake? He was already hunted, captured by an eagle, and he was already dead. So snake cannot be punished for all this. So they were not able to come to any conclusion. So Yamaraj said, let this file be pending. And later on, at some other point of time, we will do the judgment for this. So some time passed by, many years passed by. The king was repenting whatever had happened. And then king, he once again arranged for a feast. He invited some other brahmanas from faraway city, because in this city all the brahmanas were dead now. So he invited some other brahmanas from faraway city, and these brahmanas were coming to this city. And as these brahmanas are coming, a group of brahmanas, they were asking on the way, the way to king's palace. Okay, they were asking some sidewalk by peoples, how to reach king's palace. So there were these two women standing there, and these brahmanas approached these two women and asked, can you please tell us how to reach king's palace? And one woman, she looked at them and smiled and said, yes, of course, but why are you going there? Oh, he has invited us for feast. And she immediately started laughing, and the brahmana asked, why are you laughing? She said, be careful. Actually, king had invited all the brahmanas from this city many years back, and all the brahmanas died after feeding. So you be careful. King is known for this act. And immediately Yamaraj, he told, put all the account, settle that account, put all that in this woman's account. All the credit, all the karma which has to go for killing all those brahmanas, put in her account. And all the ministers, they became very curious. Why you are putting? What is the fault of her? So Yamaraj said, see, when somebody commit any activity or even any crime, why does somebody do that? To get some pleasure out of that. Right? When somebody commit any sinful activity, why that person do the sinful activity? To get pleasure out of that. If somebody is drinking, somebody is gambling, somebody is doing something, somebody is even killing somebody for their pleasure, to get something out of that. So when all these brahmanas were killed, nobody got the pleasure. Everybody was actually lamenting. King was lamenting, cooks were lamenting. Nobody was happy about that. But see, this woman, she is getting some pleasure. She is laughing, and she is having that pleasure talking about the death of all these brahmanas. So she is to be punished for this act. So you should immediately transfer all the account, all the killing of these brahmanas into her account. Now, why I am telling this story? How does it relate to us? If we criticize somebody, if we judge somebody and blaspheme somebody without knowing about the situation, without knowing about anything, what is happening? We are taking their karma. Immediately the karma transfers to your account. So if somebody criticizes you, you should be very thankful to that person. Oh, thank you very much. You have removed some karma from my account. But if you criticize somebody, you are taking their karma. So why our bondage in this material world is not ending, or why our situation is not improving, why our spiritual progress is not happening? Because of these offenses. We may be chanting, we may be doing a lot of activities, spiritual activities, but if we criticize others, if we blaspheme others, our credit is actually getting transferred into their, and their bad karma is coming to ours. So we should be very careful. Speak without, or listen without defending. Speak without offending. Okay, so these are the 8 sutras. If we can apply in our lives, it will help us in all aspects of our life, our personal development, our professional development, our relationships, our spiritual development. So as a summary, first one is don't stay helpless. Always seek help from others, seek guidance from others, ask questions. So don't stay helpless. Second one is listen without defending. Don't blockage your mind thinking, oh, maybe this person is telling about me. The speaker may be telling in journal, but we start relating to, oh, maybe he's pointing at me, and we already become defensive about that. So speak or listen without defending. Speak without offending. Don't speak harsh word about somebody. Don't spread rumors. Fourth one, living without pretending. Okay, just be yourself. Don't fake. Fifth one, being judgmental chokes our own improvement. Sixth one, consistency without creativity also becomes useless, makes us obsolete. Seventh one, disconnect to connect. Disconnect from your regular world to get a deeper spiritual connection. And eighth one, love without expecting. Okay, so hopefully these sutras will be helpful in some way to develop our lives, to progress in our lives, and we can really cultivate these sutras into our practical lives. So with that, I will end it here. If anybody has any questions, any comments, you can definitely share. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.